Mark 25.
Clear.
Clear. Didn't hold open, but empty.
Yep.
Mark 25. Peacocker.
Fancy.
Held open.
Hi, Misha here. And this gun has appeared in several videos along with other guns, but it really hasn't ever had its own video on our channel, so without a whole lot else going on, I thought today we would talk about the SIG Sauer P226 Mark 25. And instead of showing you my gun that I've had for many years and it's a little bit battered and used, I thought I'd just show you a brand new one. Thought you might enjoy that better. Might be a little shiny from oil. It comes in kind of the larger SIG box with a total of 3 mags, 2 spare and then 1 in the gun. These mags have a phosphated finish, parkerized essentially, which I'll talk about. Manual, and the usual stuff. So basically you get an extra mag. The Mark 25 SIG Sauer says is the exact pistol that has been shipped to the U.S. Navy SEALs for decades. This isn't an approximation. In fact, they claim that they had to get permission from the SEALs, Naval Special Warfare, to sell this pistol. And it does come with a certificate attesting to its authenticity. So, with that said, aside from not having U.S. property and having a government registered serial number, it should be the same exact gun according to the manufacturer, and I've never read otherwise. This is a special production, but I wouldn't say limited. These have been out for a few years now. And it has your typical features of a SIG 226. About a 4.4 inch barrel, about 7.5 inches overall, about 6 inches tall, and weighs in at about 2 pounds and some ounces. Double single action trigger, classic SIG decocker, no manual safety, alloy frame, steel slide. So let's talk about the history and then features of this gun here. As you know, SIG with the 226 was really neck and neck with Beretta and the 92F for the XM9 trial. And Beretta ultimately won because they were better able to give a package deal. So the 92F and soon the 92FS would become the M9. SIG lost out. They had originally made the 226 for the trials back in 1980-81. It was based on the company's then very modern 220, which was Switzerland's pistol 1975 P75 standard issue gun, a 9mm. They essentially took it and widened the grip, increasing capacity to 15+1, and submitted it for the trials, along with some other minor changes like going to a Browning style mag catch and so on and so forth. Well, because of early issues with the Beretta, slide cracking and whatnot, which were very soon it quickly fixed again with the 92FS. But still yet, the Navy SEALs, along with some others in the Navy, wanted their own pistol, so they tried out the 226 again, and actually they tested it against the Glock 17, which in 1986, 1987 was a very new gun, And they quickly decided that the Glock just didn't have what they wanted, the durability, the reliability, but that the 226 did. So, Naval Special Warfare Group, NSW, ordered around 800 P226s from SIG Sauer. And initially this was known simply as the 226 Navy. And these started to be fielded primarily by the Navy SEALs in the late 80s, 88, 89, depending on which source you look at. And have been fielded ever since, although more recent times some have been replaced by newer models of Glock or whatnot. And small orders have been placed over the years as needed. And of course, the little brother to the 226, the 228, was eventually adopted as the M11. But that's a story for a different video, which we do have. So what sets this apart? First off, like I said, originally this was the 226 Navy. But about 20 years ago, it was reclassified as the Mark 25, MK25. Just kind of a new naming system. They really kind of got started off with the HK Mark 23, as it were. Now, initially, the 226 Navy had a stamped and rolled slide, which had a pinned-in breech block. It was made of stamped steel, internal extractor, and some other older features. But this was replaced around 1996, 1997 with the modern style of slide that we see on, well, most all SIGs today, which is made from machined stainless steel, which is then blackened. The breech block is a single piece. Also, it goes and has an external extractor. So that update was made. And then a few years later, a Picatinny military compliant rail was added under the barrel for attaching lights, lasers, designators, what have you. And that gets us to the modern Mark 25, which has seen service for the last couple of decades. So what do we have here? How is this really different? For one, the 4.4-inch barrel is chrome lined. The slide and frame are nitrated. Many of the small parts, like the safety, the mag catch, well, I say safety decocker rather, slide release and all that, are phosphated. Even the magazines have phosphated bodies, as we showed. Much of the internals have also had special treatments applied. There's no plastic in this except for the grips. The guide rod is metal. And of course, the whole reason for these special finishes and sometimes special components is heavy-duty corrosion resistance, so this pistol won't just be eaten alive by salt water. Believe it or not, Navy SEALs encounter salt water pretty frequently. So the idea was to make a pistol that could stand up to repeated baths in salt water. And yeah, while you can clean a gun externally, getting to some of the internal nooks and crannies isn't always possible, and they could corrode overnight, so they did their best to make all the internals corrosion resistant, if not completely corrosion proof. Also, the Mark 25 has SIG light night sights as standard. Has your typical checkered polymer grips. Has a lanyard point in the back. It has a UID label on the frame, which many modern guns will have. Of course, it's just a sticker, so if you don't like it, you can peel it off. It's just a modern kind of government inventory control thing. It also has an anchor, signifying Navy service. And of course, it's marked Mark 25. I can tell you mine, that I've had for many years, has been, of course, 100% reliable. And I feel that, for whatever reason, probably the finish put on the parts, it has a better trigger. Smoother in double and a little bit lighter than a standard 226. And then in single, it's a very crisp, assured break. And the gun itself has always just felt very well produced, very smooth. And of course, I just like the Navy heritage. This is the standard version, just like mine, with the 4.4-inch barrel. There is also a version that has a barrel closer to 4.9 inches that extends out and is threaded. So if you have a sound suppressor or whatnot, you can use it. And that's really about it, guys. It's just a militarized version. These are meant to be functional more than just pretty. It doesn't have a high gloss blued finish or fancy grips or anything. It's not overly tactical. It doesn't have the short reset trigger. It's just a functional military gun. That is made to a mil-spec. So I thought, why not do a little video on it? If you have any questions, or if you own one of these, we'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments. If you could, like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you could, check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon next time.